Hello and welcome to my hobby table for yet another episode of Engine Talk. Now today's Engine Talk episode I'm going to talk about the latest two 60 size engines that I've got and an idea I saw on a Facebook group to assist in drive hub removal for some of those more stubborn drive hubs. So the first thing I want to talk about real quickly is a couple of these 60 size engines that I just picked up. The first one here is a beautiful, beautiful example of an OS 61 SF engine. Now this is complete with the beautiful and ever sought after 7L carb. Just in great condition. This is really a beautiful engine. Turns over well. Both of these engines, regardless of their state, are going to get upgrades in bearings at some point. Here's the exhaust. I mean, this is a very, very low time engine, and one of the reasons I'm showing this is because a few weeks ago, or last year, late last year, I picked up another 61 SF that I had intentions of replacing the bearings in, which is still going to get new bearings in it because it needs it. But it was not as nice as this one. I mean, it had like one little chip in the head. It was a little discolored. The carb was discolored. I was thinking of just selling that engine, but in hindsight, after having acquired this one, I think this is the nicer one. This is the one that will probably be up for sale here in coming weeks, if not a month or so. It all depends on when I get around to, well, it depends on a couple of things, I guess. It depends on if the buyer, prospective buyer of this engine really wants a new set of Boca bearings in it, because I'd be more than happy to put those in there. Or if you just want it as it is, you know, that's fine too. So this one is definitely going to be up for sale because it's the nicer of the two. And I don't need it for the second segment of this video because this prop of held with the Woodruff key. That's how good of shape this one is. I mean, it was just like that, because even engines that have been run a bit will get a little gummy here and make it a little bit tougher to pull that out. So that was one of them. The second engine that I found out is brand new. It was sitting on an old Telemaster airplane that was just in horrible shape. I mean, it was amazing that the airplane was in such bad shape, and this engine is brand new. And it's an ASP 61, and people may say, oh, it's an ASP, and I'm like, yeah, it's an ASP, because honestly, I really like the older versions of the ASP engines, in my opinion, were really nice and really good. The last ones that they were putting out that came in the white boxes where they had different shaped heads and stuff, I thought those were complete garbage. These are really nice engines, and this, like I said, I got it off that airplane, and like, that airplane was just a complete disaster, but this engine is brand new. I mean, it passes the smell test, and I mean, it's a really, really nice engine. So this is yet another one that's going to be up for sale. But again, this one is one I am going to be using to make a Boca bearing video to continue their database and continue to look for issues with their website. I'll be ordering bearings straight from their website and making sure that they're the right ones for this engine, because that's part of what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing so many bearing replacement videos, because that's part of the work I'm doing for them, or with them. Brand new exhaust. I mean, everything is new. They didn't come with boxes, but that's, you know, it's a beautiful engine. In fact, I might just decide to keep this one, because I don't recall when or if I've ever had an ASP 61 of this vintage, because this is one I believe would have been one of those blue boxes from World Models. Maybe possibly distributed by NDRC, but I believe personally that this is an older engine that dates back to the early 90s because of the styling and stuff. And honestly, these carbs weren't that bad. It's got this nice dust seal on here, kind of like the Super Tiger carbs. It's got the low speed adjustment is this big needle, separate needle, not integrated. So I mean, this is a really nice engine. So I'm going to take this carb off here and move this aside, because the other portion of this video revolves around, so I'm a member of several Facebook airplane groups, like, I don't know what some of them are called. One of them is called the Sato Engine Owners Group, and model engines, old and new and stuff like that. So I'll get these various things. And a few weeks ago I saw a posting from, I think it was the Sato owners group, where they found a way to take these drive hubs off, or at least a way to assist you if you're using these type of pullers. Because it's funny, because as much as I like these and have been using these are just ones from Harbor Freight. I've come across some a lot lately that seems like no matter how I cut and grind these things to fit in various geometries of the notch or the groove in these hubs, I haven't found, I've come across some engines. Well, this OS is one of them. And maybe you can see that it's just kind of, it's shaped such that those teeth don't really want to grab in there. They'll just kind of keep wanting to slip off. So what I had been doing in the last few times I've had to use these was I would clamp them on the drive hub, and then I'd run, since they've got holes in them here because you can rotate these legs around to make them longer or shorter, I would run a zip tie all the way through there and tighten it up to hold pressure down here to try to keep them in place. But man, that just really got to be a pain in the butt. So anyway, there was just an image on this thing, and it had an image of this Harbor Freight E-clip assortment, and how this person found out that they could use these E-clips. Maybe I'll zoom in here a little bit more now. Use these E-clips to help provide a more flat platform, and these are steel, more flat platform for these jaws to lift on, and maybe they wouldn't slip out so much. So I went out and I spent the $8 or whatever on this assortment. And before anybody else goes out and does this, I want you to know this, because out of that big box of 300 pieces, and here, let me open it up and show you all the different sizes. Out of this box of all of these sizes, only this one and this one maybe can be used for doing what I'm going to demonstrate. Everything else is too small, and these little ones in here, this is a standard set. It's not metric. I believe they have standard, and yeah, they're 16th, so it's standard, it's imperial measurements. So I don't know that these smallest ones, or even the ones up, would be all right to use for retaining the pin, the rocker arm pin on OS. There's certain OS engines that require these E-clips. I don't know if these would fit, so you may end up buying this thing. Well, hopefully you don't go buy it until you see that it works. You may end up getting this thing and not really having a use for all of these things, and that's kind of where I'm finding myself. Because one of the things I was looking at, here's those three sizes I was just talking about. This one is clearly too big. And maybe, I mean, I don't have a ton of engines. It might fit on my Sato 150 or Harvey's Sato 150, 120. This is the one that I'm finding the most useful. This one might go on some really small engines, but I don't know. So anyway, what I wanted to do here was demonstrate this, and I just kind of demonstrated this. Well, I didn't demonstrate it for you. I demonstrated it for myself on my MVVS 40 engine, and I put it on there. So some of the things that I'm finding that are a challenge with this is that your drive hubs are aluminum, but these things are steel. If you're going to push this on here like this, and one of the things you can kind of do is you can kind of check to see if this looks like it's going to be the right size or not before you go clamping that thing on there, because I think this one would be too big to be used, because it just would slide around too much, I think. So I'm going to do an experiment here. I'm going to try to just clip this thing on here. But so what I was saying is these are steel, this is aluminum, and if the fitment isn't just right, you got a really good chance of kind of marring the inner portion of that when you go to put this on. So I'm going to, I think, God, I don't know. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm not sure this one's going to work at all. It may be too small. I'm going to give it a shot and see about just kind of clamping this on here real quick. And see if I can get that to go across. Wow, this is the one when I used this just now in the MVVS, I think it fit a lot better. Boy, I don't know about that. Let me try this guy here. I know this one will go on there because it's pretty large. Okay, so that's on there. Maybe this one will be the one that'll work for this engine. So it's kind of loose. And the other thing is, I don't know, maybe I should put a second one on there, because the other thing is, obviously this isn't a full circle. So that means you got to kind of really be careful about where you're putting that. So I'm going to get another one of these big ones out since that went on so easily. And because of the fact that I have enough room, enough gap there, I think I can put another one on here and we can get complete coverage. Why is... Did I have the wrong size out here? Yeah, I did. Okay, so that one's too small. That one's the largest one. This one's the right size. So I'm going to put another one on here. Boy, I hope I'm not making a mistake by doing this. I hope I can get these things. I'm going to figure out, am I going to be able to get these things off if I do that? I don't know. You know, right now I'm like, oh crap, how am I going to be able to get those things off? Because you really need to be able to get in that groove in this gap here to get that off. And I guess maybe if I put these on, I could probably rotate this around so that they're lined up perfectly to get it off. Boy, this is, I don't know. Let's go ahead and give it a shot and see. Hopefully this isn't a mistake in doing this. This set of pliers is just almost not big enough to do this. So here, let's see, can I rotate those around? Yeah, I can rotate those around. So I'm going to rotate this thing around so that we've got full coverage here. And now I'm going to put this thing on here. And that's why I had that carb loose, because I knew I was going to be doing this. I'll drop these jaws down on here. And we'll start to put some tension on it here. So I think you can see that that's giving it a lot better gripping area. Now let me get my wrench out here. Now I'm not using any heat or anything here because, you know, it's a new engine. I don't think it's going to need that, but we're just going to see what happens here. So hopefully I'm not damaging anything here, but looks like it definitely took that off. So yes, you can see it pop that drive hub free. So that's beautiful. Now the question is, do I have a screwdriver here big enough to extract this thing off of here? Because what you got to do is just kind of go in here and use a lever arm or some other pliers to get on that and get it out of there. There we go. So that was relatively successful. But the thing is, I looked at several engines before doing that and tried to fit some of these things up and didn't really find. So there's our largest, medium size, and the one that might work. So it pulled it off, but yes, it did kind of, you know, mar this inner portion up a little bit, which, you know, so that person on that Sato group was like, oh, this is just the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm thinking, no, it really isn't, because now I got to sit here and try and get a Dremel wheel with a polisher on there and polish the inside of that out the best I can, because, as I said, that's steel, these are aluminum. You know, and you have the same thing that happens sometimes with these guys too. If they're slipping off, sometimes they'll mar it. So it's like, damn, you know. OS makes a nice tool to do that, but I've only ever seen the one size, and the one I happen to have gotten was a very small one. It only did small, like 20 to 40 size engines, and not all. Buddy of mine, Harvey, or somebody, no, I think it was a guy on eBay, told me that they've sold two different sizes, one for larger engines. I've never seen that. I mean, and that tool is beautiful, but it's only designed for their style or their shape hubs. And if you get lucky enough and you find another engine that it would work on, then that's fine. But I tried the one I've got on numerous other 40 size engines and it didn't fit on any of them. So I don't know what to say about that. That looks like, doesn't smell like fuel residue at all. That's some kind of other oil. The other thing that told me that this engine was brand new is that, I don't know if you can see in there or not, this is a ringed engine. And normally if an engine's been run, that ring will almost immediately turn a dark color. This one is the same color as the piston. Maybe it's the material they used, but I mean, it was hard for me to determine, is this an ABC or is it a ring? But it's really a ringed engine, because I can see the ring. It's just that it is the same color as the piston, which is just an indication that it's never been run. But anyway, so that's what I want to get across in this video. The main important part was these two nice engines, and of course this. Something that is possible to be used, but maybe not necessarily recommended. Yes, in this instance, it assisted in pulling this off. And of course, this had never been run, so it wasn't, I mean, maybe I didn't need the wrench on there, I don't know. But you can get it off at a cost. And the cost is that, you know, you're gonna put some marks on that prop hub. So that's my video for today. These things are an option, but I'm not saying they're a super good option. So whoever put that on that Sato engine owners group, you know, maybe it'll work for you better, but I don't particularly care for what it does to these drive hubs.